Hi, everybody. It's Sandra from the Funky Pickle Thrifter. Thank you so much for watching my video today. We're going to have a look at some of my eBay sales over the past few weeks. The name of my eBay store is the Funky Pickle Store. I don't sell internationally at this time, and I'd like to thank you so much. Anybody out there who is watching who bought something from my eBay store, I truly appreciate it a lot. This video is going to be very jewelry heavy. I've sold some beautiful pieces. I'm going to be showing you some CDs, some DVDs, some craft items, and other miscellaneous things that I've bought at thrift stores and yard sales. Didn't pay a lot of money for. I'll tell you what I paid if I remembered. All right, please leave me a comment below, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for coming. Let's get started. Here's the reason I don't pass up mugs when I see them in a thrift store. I turn them over, and in this case, they say Tiffany and Company on the bottom. So how cool is that? I paid $1 each for these. These were in a thrift store by my mother's house, just like a little church thrift store. And I was very, very excited to get them. They seemed like they were new and unused. I don't think I wrote that. I think I just wrote excellent condition, but they were kind of mint, actually. So yeah, paid $2 for the set and sold them as a set for $50. I bought this item last summer at a yard sale. I actually bought another one too. The other one was purple. This one is red. I guess it's something for a car, inside a car or outside a car. Wasn't really sure, but it looked kind of cool. Neon, 10 feet long. It was new and sealed in its package. Paid $1, sold it for $11.99. I paid $1 for this brooch many, many years ago at a yard sale. So this is kind of a special thing, as you might be able to tell by that price. This is by a company called Joseph Warner. It's a New York-based company. It ran from the mid-50s to the early 70s. But this is one of the items that they're best known for. This is called the Day to Night brooch, and it's a mechanical brooch. We're going to take a look at the video in a minute. But you can wear it open like that, or you can close it. And I did do a video. I used eBay's video system for the first time, and I was kind of unhappy with it because it took about 4 or 5 days for them to approve the video. So I had to really wait to post my auction. So I wasn't really happy about that. But let's take a look at the video. I wanted the buyers to really get a great look at the condition it was in. You see how each petal has a prong set rhinestone. I really didn't see much wear to the gold tone rather. And there's a signature, Warner, New York. Look at that gold. So nice. So there's a little leaf right there. That's the secret. And when you push that down, the petals close. So the rhinestones, they're not really perfect. I mean, I don't think they had wear that happened on anybody's watch. It's just kind of the way that they were put in the factory. I guess they discolored just slightly. And then 2 of those petals were a little bit loose. Again, I don't think that really was a flaw per se, but I wanted to make sure that that was pointed out because I knew this was going to sell for a bunch. But what a beautiful item, right? I got so much enjoyment out of this brooch through the years. I don't regret selling it at all. I'm really, really happy with the price, and I hope its new owner loves it as much as I did. So I paid $1, and I sold this one for $525. This is an unusual item. I bought it because I just thought it was weird. It said IBM Technical Notebook, and then I think it said something in here like for employees only. I think it was for people who worked at IBM. I'm not sure. There was no writing in it or anything, but I don't know. I just thought it looked a little bit weird to me. So I paid 50 cents for this at one of those sort of church rummage sales, and I sold this one for $14.99. Here's a pretty old religious medal. When I find medals like this and crosses, and they look like they have age on them, I'll usually pick them up. They can have some good value. So this one I think was probably 25 cents or 50 cents. It was just a tiny little thing. But it said Germany. You can see that right around that top bail part. I don't think it was silver. No, I didn't put it. So, all right, I guess it's not that tiny, almost 2 inches long. Anyway, it's a great thing to look out for. Sold this one for $24.99. Some of you may remember that recently I was in a little thrift store and they had a bunch of Native American pottery. I bought all of it because I think it was priced between 25 cents and a dollar each. I don't think anything was above that. Maybe something was $2. I can't remember, but I paid about $10 for the whole collection. So this is the first piece that I sold. I don't know anything about it, like I said, but when I looked there, it said made by E. Jackson, Cherokee, NC. And that's why I thought that this might have some value. And it did. So I sold this beautiful, beautiful vase for $100. Great profit on that. Really beautiful item. Is in perfect shape, too. I love selling fabric. I can't remember where I bought this. I think this was up for a while, but I love when fabric is kind of a reproduction of an antique kind of a look. See that? It's like a little girl. She has two jack-o'-lanterns behind her back. Isn't that cute? I also love this name brand, Moda. If I see Moda fabric, I will buy it. So yeah, probably paid a dollar, maybe $2 for this and sold it for $14.99. It's really cute, right? I bought a huge antique cufflink collection last summer at an auction. I have hundreds of pairs of them. I've been really doing a terrible job putting them up. But these were sterling silver. They're this beautiful repose, Art Nouveau. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And I noticed that my pictures kind of make it look like there's a dent, but there isn't. They're just gorgeous. Now, I think these were made to monogram, but these didn't have a monogram, which was a great selling point. There's the mark right there. Awesome set of cufflinks. I'm totally in the money on that collection. I think I may have paid $90 or $100 for the whole collection, but I'm already in the money many times over with many, many more to sell. And anyway, I sold this little pair of sterling silver antique cufflinks for $34.99. I bought a lot of CDs recently too. I started to find some really, really special ones in this place that I was at, and I want to go back there and try to buy more because he had hundreds of them, if not thousands. Anyway, I paid, I think, a dollar each for them. Gosh, I can't remember now. They may have been $2 each, but I think I've already made a profit of $700 or $800 on the whole collection. So this one is also pure profit. I actually know who Christy is, and I also know the song Yellow River. That's why I wanted to buy it. I figure that it was probably hard to find, and it is. That's why I was able to get $20 for it. If you didn't know anything about music, hopefully you could just tell maybe that's a cool thing by the picture. You know, they kind of look like hippies, right? It's like a cool looking thing. Anyway, yeah, paid a dollar, sold it for 20. Here's another CD I picked out. Some of the Monkees stuff has pretty good value. I actually know what this is. I think I have this on vinyl. This is called Missing Links. So it was sort of outtakes and rarer tracks. And the record label right there is Rhino. If you see stuff on Rhino, you might want to look it up because that's a great name brand. And sometimes they're out of print and they can command a little bit of a price, like this one right here. Paid a dollar or two, sold it for $28.99. I got this really beautiful blue pearl necklace at an estate sale, and it was part of a J. King collection. And I was picking out jewelry. They had tons and tons of it. I'm in the money on that collection also. Things were unused in their original box, like this. This is freshwater pearl. I think the colors are just gorgeous. Very summery, right? That's a very interesting piece. And I can't remember what I paid for this. I know I'm already in the money on that collection for sure. As I recall, this may have been $2, maybe $3, and I sold it for $26.99. I got this old pinback button as part of an antique ribbon collection that I got that I really haven't had a chance to kind of look at in earnest yet. It's very difficult because a lot of the organizations I really can't find any information on. This one I looked up at the time. I think the Women's Land Army was something that was like a woman's organization to farm and provide food during wartime. I think it's something like that. I can't exactly remember, but it wasn't that important when I posted the auction to really know what it is because you know the collectors are going to know. Anyway, paid really nothing for it because I'm already in the money on that ribbon collection, and I sold this one for 50. I found these items at a kind of a sneak peek of an estate sale. I have a good relationship with a woman who runs estate sales, and sometimes she gives me a buzz and says, "Do you want to come over and take a look before the estate sale starts?" So I went and I found all these things. A lot of these had some really nice age on them. Some were wood, some were plastic, but they're all red, as you can see. So I probably could have sold them individually and made a lot more money on them, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't really I'm not interested in them, and I had them up higher for a long time. They didn't sell, so I chopped the price down to 31.99, and I'm happy that I got that. That's absolutely fine. I think I probably paid 5 or 10 for this collection. I found this beautiful, very, very large sterling silver crucifix at a yard sale years ago. And it's just beautiful. And it's so big. It was heavy also, 16 grams. I weighed it right there. And there it is. I have to put a thing there that says inches because I've gotten a few questions from people who don't know if that's centimeters or something, or millimeters or inches. So I have to clear that up. But that is actually inches. So more than 3 inches long. I'm sure I didn't pay more than $1 or $2 for this. And I sold it, think I think for 50. I think that's the best offer I took. I don't know why it doesn't just show. I mean, I can understand that it doesn't want to show people what the best offer is that I accepted, but I'm sort of surprised it doesn't show me. Kind of weird. But anyway, I think I sold this one for 50. This is a recent thrift store find. I paid $1 or $2 for this. When I say Bath and Body Works, I will usually just pull my phone out and look it up because sometimes these scents go out of production and people really want them and will pay up for them. And I think that's the case here. Vanilla and patchouli. It just sort of seemed like an interesting scent to me. So I sold this one for $24.99. It was all sealed up tight. You used to be able to sell partials of things like this on eBay, but they no longer allow it. You can only sell this kind of stuff if it's new and sealed. I guess so nobody will mess with what's inside and then do a disservice to Bath and Body Works, because then somebody would say that stuff was awful and I'll never go to that store again, when maybe it was just somebody who put something in it that shouldn't have been in there. I don't know. That's my guess. That's what I think the reason is. You can also no longer sell expired cosmetic and body items on eBay either. You used to be able to, but you can't anymore. So just a heads up on that. I bought this beautiful necklace years ago at a yard sale. I think I paid $1 or $2 for it. This is beautiful sterling silver, moonstone, and amethyst. I wore this a few times. I've had it for a long time. Isn't it beautiful though? A little bit adjustable. How pretty is that? It was in beautiful condition also. I'm surprised I didn't weigh this because it was really thick and heavy and just gorgeous. I don't know who that company is. I'm not sure who SLG India is, but that's what the mark was on it. I took a best offer on this, I think of $85, so paid $1 or $2. Great profit. I bought this little snuff tin last summer. I bought a lot of other stuff there too, so I know I'm in the money. I thought it was gonna sell for more, and it didn't, and, I just decided to put it up. It was just a little tiny thing. You see, it only held 1.5 ounces. Small little thing. It still had its paper label. I thought it was kind of a cool thing. Anyway, sold that one for $11.99. I think I may have paid $1 for it. I found this Peter Brahms twisted sterling silver and gold bracelet in a thrift store for, I think, $2, maybe a couple of months ago. I think this might have been in one of my jewelry haul videos. So this had some nice weight. It was over 12 grams, clearly signed. When I saw it at first, I just thought it was costume. I kind of didn't think anything of it. Then I picked it up and I could see that there was a mark right there. I couldn't see what it said, but I saw that it said something. I was like, that's not gold and silver, is it? I thought to myself. So yeah, paid the $2, bought it, brought it home, took out my jeweler's loop, and I was very, very happy. So paid 2 and sold this one for 82. This item, I think, is very, very rare. I couldn't find anything like it. So it's from 1929. And look at the police headquarters in West Hartford. It looks just like an old house, right? So I figured this would be worth something. I found it, I think, at a yard sale for $1. And I was like, oh, this is going to sell for, like, I'll just name my price basically, and it will sell because it's so rare. The problem being, it's a very, very specific audience. So yeah, paid $1 for it and I sold it for $49.99. I had just lowered the price. I was trying to get a lot more for it, and I just I gave up because A, I needed the money, and B, I try to keep merchandise getting mailed out of here and not just stored here. So still happy about it. Great profit, right? And a really cool item. Look at this cool 1970s polyester shirt. It had flowers on it. How cool is that? Look at it. That's so awesome. Bowden Knits. I didn't know who that was. I just knew that this was really cool and it had that kind of like pointy pointy 70s collar, and I don't know. Yeah, I just loved it. So I think I paid $1 for this or something at maybe a little junk shop. I think with a lot of other stuff I bought, and I sold it for 14.99. I don't remember where I got this Harmony Ball necklace, but it was abalone and also sterling silver, and I think it's just beautiful. So this was made to be worn by expectant mothers because it makes a beautiful, soft, jingling sound, and it was meant to calm the baby. And I think it's just really, really pretty. So I paid, I think, $1 for this, maybe $2, and I sold it for 34.99. Great profit. I've had these listed for a while. They are both new and sealed. Look, somebody paid $40 for season 1 in the day, right? And that's the problem with DVDs is it's in the day because now people can just stream things so easily. So I was really happy that I did finally sell these season 1 and season 2 of Happy Days, and I sold them for 14.99. I think I paid $1 each for these, but I was already in the money so big on this collection that I had bought of TV shows from the 70s. They were all new and sealed. And something that people do like about the DVDs that you can't get streaming are some of the extras. Sometimes there's commentaries running over each episode by maybe one of the actors or one of the directors or something like that. So, anyway, glad to sell those. I found this fabric in a thrift store that I don't usually go to, and I thought it was just beautiful. I bought a whole stack of stuff. A lot of it was its name brand. Some was Waverly as well. Waverly's a great thing to look out for too. But look at the color and look at the bird. I really should have just pulled the camera back. I don't know why I'm just showing that little section. That's kind of bad. But anyway, I paid $1 for this and I sold it for 11.99. I don't remember where I got this little sterling silver charm. I know I didn't pay much money for it. I sold it for 17.99. So this is like a repro of the bronze sculpture that's in Copenhagen. Just a really pretty little thing. Look how small it is. I love charms. I love charm bracelets too. And there's the mark right there. So great price on that. I love buying little charms. They're really easy to store and really easy to ship. And I just think they're sweet. I'm coming down to the end of my gumdrop panties that I have been selling. People really love these. These are old. I think they're from the 60s, maybe the 70s. And wow, that was $2.35 back then just for one pair. Look at that. That's actually not cheap. So I call these granny panties like a lot of people do, but also I try to put other keywords like underwear and pinup, as you can see. Anyway, I sold this lot of 4 for 17.99, and I think I'm down to my last 2 lots on these, which will probably be selling in the next couple weeks, I hope. I got this solid gold St. Bridget's cross at a yard sale, I think a long time ago. Now, St. Bridget was a saint in Ireland, and this cross traditionally, I think, was made out of reeds and rushes. And that's what the look is here. Isn't that interesting? I didn't know what it was. I had to look it up, or maybe my husband told me. I can't remember now. Some nice weight on that, almost 5 grams. Found it somewhere for $1, probably 10 years ago or something. I've definitely had this one for a while, I think. Anyway, sold it for $180. Great item, great profit too. I found this item at a yard sale. I think you can watch me finding it on a video. I found this on the same day. Some people might remember I found a 14 karat gold Harry Winston pen. Well, this came from that yard sale. This was $1, and I just figured it had something to do with a car. I don't know. It's some sort of an emblem, I think, to put on a car. Still not sure, I guess, but paid $1, sold it for $12.99. It was new in the package. I bought a box of old stuff at a yard sale about a year ago, and I thought these magazines were going to sell for a lot more. I was sure that they were very, very special because they're airplane related. The cover art is awesome. They're from the 1930s, but I think what really killed these is the condition. So I've had these listed for a really long time. Yeah, it looks like I listed them December 31st, 2021. Pretty cool, but look at the condition. They're just sort of worn through the years. I think I may have paid, well, I'm totally in the money on this yard sale for sure, because I bought a Beatles reel to reel there that I think I sold for 85 or $90. And I think I may have paid $40 for everything at that yard sale. So this is a pure profit. Not a lot of profit, but it's okay. I'll take it. $17 for this lot of old 1930s magazines. I bought a collection of Artex pictures to paint, felt ones and cloth ones last summer, and I decided to put all these items up. I was going to try selling them one by one, but they're all little things for tubes of paint that people paint on fabric. These are tips and cleaners, and I'm not exactly sure what all these things are, but I put them all in a lot and I sold them for $25. I'm in the money on this yard sale. So this thing didn't owe me anything, and I made $24.99, which is great. I was so excited when I found this item. I found this in Savers, actually. And I just about broke even on it. And I think part of the reason is because those are lousy pictures. Look, it looks like the bedspread's all yellowed off, and it wasn't. Yeah, that's what did it, right? Those are terrible. But it was really great. It had the ruffles. It was from Sears, which is a cool thing. And then I had these four sheer panels as well. Now, you see those little tiny spots? I disclose that. Like, there were just tiny spots on it. It really wasn't a big thing, but I had to point it out. And then I think, along with the pictures, it just looked worse than it was. And anyway, I'm glad I got my money back. So this bedspread and the panels I sold for $40. I don't usually sell vintage hats, but I saw this fedora and it was in a junk shop that I love to go to. It still has its little feather. Look at that. But it said Stetson inside, and I know that's a really good name brand. So that's why I got this for $1 or two. So sold that for 40. I bought a large collection of doorbells and door knockers and melamine dishes at a yard sale a few weeks ago. I paid over $300 for the collection, but I believe that I'm going to make many times my money back. I mean, that's what I'm hoping. There's some very interesting items, kind of interesting animals and motifs, and things were solid brass. And this great name brand, everything was brand new. The name brand is SPI, which is a collectible thing. So anyway, here is my first little bit of money back. Sold this doorbell for $22.99 with a long way to go. I was at a yard sale and I picked up this bracelet, and it really seemed like sterling silver to me, which it is. And it just so happens that those stones are real sapphires, and it is a Ross Simons item, which is a cool thing to buy. They do have nice value to them. Isn't that pretty? It was beautifully articulated. There's the other side of it. Didn't pay much for it and sold it for $49.99. I sold two more girdles out of my underwear collection that I bought at a junk shop. And I have just been making a ton of money on these things. I think these are likely from the early 2000s or maybe 1990s, something like that. So sold both of these for $14.99. I'm totally in the money on this collection, so that's pure profit. This is the second time I sold Ranch Road boots. I found these at a yard sale. They were $20, and I knew that they would sell because I had just sold a pair. These are some stock photos, of course. Really nice. There's mine. I took that picture. There's all the information. Size 13 and a half. And it had the pouches. They were brand new, never worn. So very excited to get those. I Yeah, I paid 20, like I said, and I took a best offer on these of 105, and I was really, really happy with that. I think that's just absolutely fine. I just bought these mugs. I think I paid $1 each for these in a thrift store. I know I've sold this name brand before, Danone, and I thought they were interesting because they had the cat motif. And additionally, they're just beautiful. Look at all those flowers. I could see somebody really, really wanting to have these. There's the marking on the bottom. There's how tall they were. No chips or anything like that. I think there was one with a chip that I just threw in the garbage. So paid $3, sold them for $26.99. I found these old doorknobs recently at a thrift store for $3 for the whole box. Now, there were a few of these that had little breaks and little chips. I threw all of those out, but for one. See that one of the little chip? That really wasn't bad and it didn't show. So I just disclosed it and did include that one. So the glass here was covered with paint and I soaked them off and scraped it all off. I knew that I'd be able to make good money on these. Does anyone remember these? I do. I think these are really cool. I love these. Paid $3, sold them for $51. Here's another CD that I picked out of the hundreds or thousands recently from that store. Now, I figured this one might be collectible because it's Pete Best, and I think most people know, right? Pete Best was the drummer for the Beatles before Ringo, and he apparently just didn't fit them well. I think he was a good drummer and everything, but I think there was some personality conflicts I've read when the Beatles went to Germany and their bass player Stu started dating Astrid Kutcher. I think that's how you say your name, or Kircher. I think that's right. Um, she was a photographer, and in those days in Germany, men started to wear their hair all combed forward, which was really a radical thing. And when the Beatles came back from Germany, they said, look, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to have our hair slicked back like the 50s Elvising anymore. We're all going to do this sort of mop top thing and brush our hair forward. And Pete Best goes, no, I'm not doing it. That's what I've read. It was that kind of thing. So anyway, they kicked him out and replaced him with Ringo Starr. Oops. Oops, Pete Best. Anyway, paid $1 for this one, sold it for $14.99. This is a recent thrift store find. I couldn't believe I found this, and I was looking at the jewelry and it really looked like junk. And I went to turn away and this caught my eye and I said to myself, that's not real gold, right? It was $1, so I just grabbed it. Now it's on this cord, which is kind of interesting because you would think jewelry on a cord is not real, but this is solid 14 karat gold. It weighed almost 2 grams, had a nice size too. And also the finding is gold too. Let's see if I can get that. That's what the back looks like. There's a signature, SLC. I have no idea who that is. I've never heard of that before. Yeah, see, look, the finding too. So that had some weight. I didn't even bother with that. But anyhow, kind of a cool necklace. I know for sure people are crazy about Wildcat jewelry. I certainly am. So I sold this one. I think I took a best offer of $125 on this one. So paid $1 and sold it for $125. I think these Castle Cliff earrings were part of a haul that I got from an antique store last summer or last spring, I think. So these beads, that technique is called sugared. It has kind of a sheen to it. And there's a little bit of a problem here, which is why the price is so low. I'll show it to you. I mean, you could wear these proudly. It would never show, but there was a little bit of loss. See it on the back of one of those beads? Still cool though. I really love the design. It does really look like candy. Great clip-on earrings. Castle Cliff is very, very collectible. So didn't pay much for them. I think I'm almost in the money on that antique store collection. I might not be all the way yet, but I am going to be keeping some of the pieces. So still really happy. Sold these for $12.99. Here's a beautiful J. King necklace. This one was part of that estate sale haul. I have no idea what kind of stone this is. I actually got a couple of questions from people saying, well, what is it? Well, I don't know. I have no idea what it was. It was very heavy. It's part of the series called Mine Find. So it's not glass. It is definitely a stone. If somebody knows, tell us just out of curiosity. It was really very beautiful. I'm in the money on that whole collection. So this one is pure profit. Sold it for $79.99. I bought a whole stack of vintage fabric last summer from a yard sale. I definitely made all my money so far on that sale. And here was, I think, maybe one of the last pieces that I had. Just a yard and a half, very psychedelic. Look at that. Super cool. I love the colors pink and orange together. Sold this piece for $12.99. I bought these 2 candle holders at a yard sale because I thought they might be sterling. That's really the real reason I got them, but they're very mod looking. They were made in Denmark. They definitely have that look to them, right? That Scandinavian, modern look to them. I think I paid $1 or 2 for these. I was thinking that they were gonna be worth much more than that, but that's okay. Sold these for $14.99. I got this little drone at a garage sale. They had a lot of toys there. They had Legos and stuff like that. Things were new and still sealed. I think one of the Lego sets was Star Wars yeah, Star Wars. So I knew that I was definitely in the profit, which is why I could pick up this little drone and just take a chance. I also figured if it didn't sell, my husband would have fun with it. And I can't remember how much I paid. I know I'm in the money on this garage sale. It may have been as much as $3. Not exactly sure, but I sold it for 19.99. Here is an old Billboard magazine. So I learned a lot about Billboard magazines many, many years ago. I was at an auction and I bought a whole box of them for $100. And I'm definitely in the profit at this point for more than $10,000. There were many, many rare ones from the 1950s and 60s, including the Beatles' first appearance on the Billboard chart. I also had lots and lots of cool ads, like one of the first mentions of the Beatles and some Elvis stuff, the first time Elvis hit #1 and so on. Now, in those days, Billboard magazines sold for a lot more than they do now. I'm probably talking about 20 years ago. But this is a great, great ad. Look at that. The Doors with no Jim Morrison. Great Rod Stewart ad. So in those days, you could dismantle these and just sell the ads individually, which I did. And some of the ads I sold like just a page from one magazine for more than $100. I don't think they sell for that kind of money anymore. Look at the temps. This is really cool. So this is from 1971. Oh, look at those jeans. How much do you want those jeans? I love those. I wish I had them. Yeah, Grand Funk. So anyway, the reason that Billboard magazines are very, very rare is because they had a very sort of small subscription. They only went to people who were in the music industry. It wasn't something like a casual record buyer or a rock and roll fan would just pick up on the newsstand. I don't even think it was sold on the newsstand in those days. So people who worked at record companies or radio stations and things like that would read these and then just throw them in the garbage. I think it was a weekly publication. It came out all the time and you just throw it out. That's why part of the reason that they're so rare. Furthermore, a lot of these ads and pictures only were published once. So for example, maybe that picture of the Temptations, maybe that's the only existing like picture of them like that. So that was something else that made these very, very rare. Anyway, I still have a whole box full of these. I sold most of them, but I think I'm going to be selling the rest in that box at some point because I'm not enjoying them and I'd like somebody else to. Anyway, sold this one for $39.99. Look at this beautiful red carved coral necklace. This is something that I got from the J. King estate sale. Isn't that beautiful? I love this red. It's almost like a cherry red, a very rich colored red. I almost kept this one. So beautiful. So I am in the money on that estate sale. It wasn't only J. King. As I already showed you, there was some Honora pearls and other name brands too, but it was mostly J. King. I am in the money, so this is pure profit. $64.99 is what I sold this beautiful necklace for. Here's some more underwear I sold that came from that same collection. So there are 4 pair here. They're name brand, what are they? Fundamentals by Sears, Captiva. And people want to see how sheer these are when they're silky like this. That's why I put them in front of the window. So sold these 4 pair for $19.99. Here's another lucky thrift store find. I figured these might be gold, and I was right. They are solid 10 karat gold, clearly marked. They say JCM. I think that's an HSN or QVC name brand. Some nice weight, almost 2 grams. I think these were $1, maybe $2, and I sold them for $64.99. I usually buy employee tie tacks like this one. I find them in thrift stores or at yard sales because often they're solid 14 karat gold or solid 10 karat gold. This one was 10 karat, not the back. The back is only gold filled, but the pin itself, nice weight too, 1.8 grams. Paid probably $1 for this and sold it for $28.99. I found this item, I think, at a flea market, and I thought this was going to sell for much, much more. I think I paid either $3 for this or maybe $5. This is a great sort of 1960s tree topper. I love selling vintage Christmas stuff. This is a great sort of sugared item, kind of like those Castle Cliff earrings, that same sort of vibe. Super cool pink, original box. The box had wear. I really like the graphics on the box too. Look at the sleigh, and then those are very mod reindeer. Kind of a cool item. Didn't make as much as I thought. I thought for sure this was going to be a $40 or $50 item. No such luck, but I still made a profit because I sold it for $14.99. I found this DVD in that same place where I bought the CDs I was showing you earlier. I also got a bunch of DVDs there too, which I've been selling for a great profit. I figured this item might be out of print. Moving with Nancy by Nancy Sinatra was a TV special. I actually knew what this was because my local library had this and I checked it out once from the library and watched it. It's really crazy. It's very groovy and very colorful and very dated and kind of cheesy and just kitschy and a blast. I love Nancy Sinatra. Her biggest hit, of course, was These Boots Are Made for Walking. And then she also had a big hit with Something Stupid, which she sang with her dad. Anyway, sold this DVD for $34.99, paid $1. Here's another Monkey CD on Rhino. This one is called Headquarters, and I figured it might be out of print. It had 6 bonus tracks. We'll take a look at that. You can see halfway down the CD in black right there, it says bonus selections. So I thought that was interesting. So that was something that if you had the vinyl or the cassette, or maybe even an earlier pressing of the CD, you wouldn't have those bonus tracks, maybe. So that's why I picked this one out and I paid $1 and sold it for $19.99. This lucky find came from an estate sale in a very fancy neighborhood several years ago. I went into the garage and there was a woman there and she had a little bit of jewelry out. And I said, "Do you have any more jewelry?" Because it looked nice. And the house, I think it was a townhouse or maybe it was in one of those really kind of high class developments or something in a very kind of she town. And so she said, "Yeah, I have a whole box of jewelry." And she went to get it and she brought it down. And I said, "I'll just take the whole box. What do you want?" And I think she said 100 or something. But there was quite a bit of gold in there, some diamonds and some really, really great stuff. So completely in the profit on this. What a beautiful 14 karat gold cross this is. I love how fancy and swirly it is. I think it's really just gorgeous. I sold this for $74.99, pure profit. Here's an item that's very outside my expertise, but I got it from that lot, I think, of the jewelry that I got from an antique store. And it says right there $35 in the day, antique Chinese jade. I don't know. It's very beautiful. I think it's a pendant. And there I am taking my gem tester. I'm putting my needle on it and I'm just showing that it is going to the jade so people can see that it is in fact real jade. Anyway, didn't pay much for this, sold it for $39.99. Here's another CD from that same lot that I bought. I know who Marmalade is. They had this song called Reflections of My Life, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite ballads. And if you didn't know what you were doing and you took a look at the back, maybe you would be interested. You can see it's clearly vintage because of their hairstyles and everything. So cool old group, Marmalade, and I sold this double CD set for $16.99, paid $1. Here's the last item. I believe I paid $5 for this set. Now, I put new without box. It did have its box. I threw the box out because it originally had a jewelry box in it, a wooden jewelry box, and it was very, very heavy. And I had it up for a long time, but because of the way shipping prices are, nobody was bidding on it. So I threw the box out and then I just sold these perfumes and I said no box. So Liz Taylor, white diamonds, passion, other things, sparkling white diamonds. I remember this. Anyway, sold those perfumes for $21.99. Thanks as always for joining me today. I hope that if you just came to hang out, you enjoyed this video. And I hope if you're an eBay seller, you got some ideas and you can find similar things too for yourself to flip for a profit. All right, leave me a comment below, like the video if you did like it, and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you soon, everybody. Have a great day.